Audiences that I've been to around the world, nobody has ever listened to a direct-to-disc lacquer, because number one, they don't exist. Number two, there's no number two. Number one, they don't exist. You need to get the musicians into the studio to cut a lacquer. A lot of the one-steps are made from tape. So what you can get from commercially now, all the one-steps are from tape or from digital. But this is the only direct-to-disc lacquer you'll ever hear. And we are organizing it by probably about 2 years. We will do a direct-to-one-step. So because we've already got those reserves. So this is side D. And this is take 3.
Has this been silvered?
No, this is the test pressing.
I was up from 11 when high hopes was faded, that dreams never really come true. When up jumped springtime, I got to look at you. Sounds of the pattern world in was up jumped springtime, and love came on in. Now my heart wants to chase life's promises here, and love is a loverly thing, and we're sweethearts together like birds and the feather. Is as free as the wind, 'cause up jumped springtime. So hello, my friend.
So that was take 3. And take 3 of side 4, we did it on Sunday.
I want that copy.
What's that?
I want that copy.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you don't think you're getting out of here with all those, do you? You got a bunch of raving lunatics here.
So this is a lacquer.
Oh, now we're gonna.
So it's metal and it's coated with this soft, scratchable thing that they cut.
This is a defect that didn't get a label.
This is a reject.
Yep.
You see, side D we did 3 takes. We did 3 takes of them. We chose 1 take for the pressing. We kept 1 take for the one-step, direct to one-step later, and this was the reject that I got to take home. And I don't recall why we rejected this one. But it was good enough that Bernie didn't take his scratcher and you know, he said when I first saw him do that, I went, and he said, no, you see it protects the artists to make sure that nothing bad gets out of the studio because they make mistakes.
Hey Gary, I've seen you saw speakers in half, so you shouldn't talk.
Yeah, I saw speakers in half too, you know, because if the speaker is defective and I don't want it to be released in the wild, we take a sawzall and cut it in half. Easy. So this is a lacquer. Notice that the lacquer has got no noise.
Wow.
Nice.
That's impressive.
A lacquer has got no noise. So don't blame lacquer.
I was up from a little when high hopes was fading, that dreams never really come true. When
It's got no tape modulation noise either.
springtime, I gotta look at you. All at once it was heading along, gaze and steady, made sounds of the pattern grow dim. 'Cause up jumped springtime, and love came on in. Now my heart wants to cheers, life's promises here, and love is a loverly thing. Every sweethearts together, like birds and the feather, our love is as free as the wind. 'Cause up jumped springtime, so hello my friend. Now my heart wants to cheers, life's promises here, and love is a loverly thing. And we're sweethearts together, like birds and the feather, our love is as free as the wind. 'Cause up jumped springtime, so hello my friend.
Peace at last.
What's that?
Yeah.
The mix might be slightly different, but the biggest difference to me is the sound of the cymbals and the snares and all that, because you don't have this, you know, the lacquer to master, master to mother, mother to stamper, stamper to vinyl. You lose a lot of resolutions every step that you go away from this. So this is,
Seemed to have all the sound.
yes, it seems to
It
have all the
wasn't
sound.
truncated or.
Nothing is truncated, nothing is there, and you've got to realize that this is basically a modified $300 cartridge, you know.
Yeah.
And it's that's a $1,200 phono stage. You are not getting, even this is not taxing the capability of the system. You know, so the one of the messages that I've been trying to send with this album to even to all my customers is that, look, don't get too obsessed with changing your cartridges and all that every month. You know, the music that you get is a lot more, makes a bigger difference to the sound of your system.
Garbage
Yeah.
in, garbage out.
Garbage in, garbage
So
out.
only buy lacquer.
Only the once.
They only run about, what, 300,000 apiece?
Exactly,
10 a
right.
day, because you're
Yeah,
only
I don't
playing
know.
once, or
I don't
maybe
know.
20 a day.
I don't know
So
how
if you
many,
were-
how many heard the
lacquer from a high-res digital, what would that cost? Just sell lacquers?
To make a lacquer from a high-res digital,
Yeah,
depends on who cuts it.
sure.
Bernie's time is
Bernie?
$350 an hour.
Yeah.
So,
It's not bad.
but he won't do it.
he won't.
He won't waste his time cutting a lacquer for you,
Right.
because he's busy enough as it is. You know, if I didn't have Wooty and I wanted to book a session with Bernie, it's like 2 years down the road, and by then he might have retired.
Wasn't he actually thinking about retiring?
What's that?
Isn't he talking about retiring?
He's been talking about retirement for the last 4 years.
Oh, okay, well then he'll just keep cutting.
He'll just keep cutting. He'll just keep cutting, but right now he's only cutting projects that he likes.
Yeah.
You know, when I was there, I tripped over the original tapes of Dark Side of the Moon. You know, I almost fell over the tapes of the original contemporary tapes, the Way Out West, all those stuff was just sitting on the floor. You know, because he'll only do what he wants to do. He doesn't have to.
And he
You
doesn't
sir,
want it, he throws it on the floor.
Yeah.
So
When
let
it's
me ask
done,
you a question.
put it on the floor. You know.
So Gary, what would be really interesting to hear would be the lacquer against the high-res digital recording of this, just to see what.
You know, you notice
Because-
we don't have any.
Huh?
We don't have a high res.
Well, no, but you don't have it with you, right?
I don't have it with me.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, because I mean the CD is, we know the CD is going to be
Yes.
limited by
Yes.
a number of factors, but high-res is where digital is at.
Yeah. The interesting thing is about this, the lacquer and all that, is this. Bernie says that well, I was talking to Bernie about what do mastering engineers do. He said basically all I do is to dumb down the sound, not too much and not too little. Because when you get the original file or the original tape from the recording session, from the recording engineer, it needs to fit into the the physical media that it's going to be mastered for.
I mean dynamic range.
Not only dynamic range, but he says some EQ as well. Because different media sound different, and he has got to make a judgment on what is to be done. Take for example, an album has got, let's say, 6 songs in the side. If one track is dynamically compressed or is not recorded as well as the other 5 tracks, he's got to dumb down those 5 tracks to match that one track. And the reason for that is you don't want to play an album where every track sounds different. So the mastering engineer's job is to make it sound uniform. He said that that's the worst thing that he does, and that's the best thing that he does.
So the album has a sound.
So that the album has a sound. It's the same with a CD. You know, you cannot have one track that is hotter than the others. So depending on how it was recorded, and most are recorded in studios and not live. And even if it's recorded live, before the break, after the break, things could be different. And the entire album has to be dumbed down to the lowest common denominator. That's the worst thing about this. You know, which is why I collect the super single, the 12-inch super singles that were developed by the recording studios or sometimes by the artists themselves for radio stations and to give away to their friends, because it means that that track is probably the best possible version of that track rather than the track from an album. You know, one track that I demo frequently all over the world is Everybody Plays the Fool by Aaron Neville, because I've got 6 copies of the 33 RPM, the radio station version of that track. And even when you compare it to the tape, it's more dynamic, because the tape came from the mastered tape, which was already mastered for vinyl. So it's all already been dumbed down to the lowest common denominator of the entire album.
So if you go direct to disc from that lacquer, how will that sound compared to the lacquer?
direct to disc from that.
Oh, well-
the lacquer is already direct to disc. If we made a one
Copies.
step from there, you mean?
Yes, the one step, right.
We will know in about 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Your
don't know yet.
expectation is it's
That-
gonna be the same or
My
a little bit
expectation
less?
is going to be a little bit down, but not as far down as the album compared to the
That's
lacquer.
be a lot more expensive.
It'll be a lot more expensive because it means that an entire process, I can only make a maximum of 800 copies.
So a lot more, 500, 200?
Maybe $500 an album.
Yeah.
You'll have your money out on the CDs, you'll make all your money back, so.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, once you made $1 million, I mean, yeah,
A loss
once you
leader.
press the $1 million, you'll be, yeah.
Actually, he's hoping for T-shirt sales and coffee mugs.
But, you know, put Anne's face on it, yeah.
Yeah. No, picture this sound terrible. You know, because they've got to actually have a layer of paper in between, and when you press, it's not as flat.
Oh, God.
So anything you do to it will make it sound worse. It's like the black vinyl versus the white vinyl. It's still one block of vinyl that's been pressed. You know, it's not. It's nothing has been added. Even the swirly colored vinyl, that's going to be tough to make sound good.
What's the wear like on the lacquer?
I was told that the lacquer would withstand maybe 12 to 15 playings. That was the second play of that lacquer.
So that's like a steel substrate with lacquer coating?
Yeah, with soft lacquer
So the
coating.
lacquer
that
part,
is
you know, because like
easy to
years
cut.
and years ago, they had actual all lacquer type
Yeah,
records.
that's
So it's
right.
not that.
It's not that, no. So,
I remember a number of years ago, a lot of albums were re-released for the process they call direct metal mastering. What are they saying there?
direct metal master means that what they did was instead of cutting a lacquer, because you see, from a lacquer you make a master, from a master you make a mother, from the mother you make stampers. A direct metal mastering, you actually cut metal to make the mother. So then you go from mother to stamper and then stamper to albums. So you save 2 steps in the process of getting to the vinyl. I asked Bernie whether we should be doing that, but he says that the sound of metal is far worse than the sound of lacquer. And he doesn't like it. I've not found many DMMs that I like either. There are some, but they all sound metallic.
The Rush series that they did recently is pretty okay.
What's that?
The Rush re-releases.
The Rush
yeah, they were
releases,
pretty good.
yeah, those are cut from tape. Yeah, you like Renee said, you know, pick your noise. What kind of noise do you want? Do you want the stamper transfer noise, or do you want the direct metal noise, or you know, if you can't hire the musicians and Bernie Grundman to cut you a lacquer every time you want to play something, then
You can only
pick
play
your
12
noise.
times.
Yeah, and then you can only play 12 times. You know,
DMM doesn't sell. You know, it does have a metallic sound to it, so people aren't buying it. And very few releases now are DMM.
So that seemed like something that would just save the record producer some steps and costs.
Well, theoretically, you know, it's the best process, but, you know, it takes infinite energy and sharpness of the cutting tool to fly through the metal
Copper, yeah.
like the cutters can do through lacquer. So it's a trade-off, but, you know, those of us who've been following DMM, you know, we're not buying it. You know, it's neat, but it's not
Yeah,
as
it's-
good.
It's like the
It's the
stockfish,
best.
the stockfish,
stockfish, yeah.
titles. You know,
Right.
I think I've got practically the entire catalog, and it's not. Most of the albums sound great,
Yeah.
but I tire after one side. You know,
Yeah, it's harder.
Yeah.
Harder sound.
it's hard to enjoy.
Right.
It's really hard to enjoy.
Yeah. Or everything would be DMM, but it's not.
Yeah, it's not. So the other thing is that Bernie runs two of the very, very few Scully lathes left in the world. And one of the reasons I thought that this sounded better was that the Scully lathe versus the Neumann lathe. The Scully lathe is richer, more organic, I think more stable. We did actually a cut from tape of one of my friend Woody's albums. We had it cut at Duck Sax on Neumann lathe, and we had it cut at Bernie's on